Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and we have a really fun and jazzy show for you today. You know, there are cities in the United States where music isn't just background noise, believe it or not. It's the whole reason to go, or at least one of the main reasons to go, right? It's where the venue matters, the neighborhood matters, and really the history where you're standing in matters. We've got our top picks today. No ranking, just our picks when it comes to the United States essential music cities. And I think most importantly, what to do once you get to these places. Now we are, Amy, we are people of certain ages.
Unfortunately.
Our days of late night jazz clubs and week-long music festivals, now they're farther and farther in between, but there was a time, believe it or not, where we were hip.
We've been to our fair share of music venues.
Speakeasies, underground gin clubs.
Festivals,
yes,
all of them.
All of those things. And, you know, surprisingly, once we started talking about this episode, I was like, we've been to a number of music events in different cities in the United States, some on purpose, obviously, and then some just completely by accident that we've just stumbled upon.
Right.
And we end up having the time of our lives. And so we started compiling this episode, and I was like, you know, there are so many places to go and hear good music these days and experience incredible festivals, but how do you narrow it down for people that aren't maybe from the United States, or they travel in from the United States or out from the outside, I should say? What are those essential places, and kind of what do you do once you're there, and why are these places important?
Right. I mean, I feel like some certain cities, they embody a specific type of music. And like, there are very musical cities that just music in general is a big part of the culture. But there are certain cities in the U.S. where a single genre, it was created here. This city is known for this. And it's kind of, when you really start looking at the history of the music, and you see it's so integral to that city's culture and who they are, you can't help but absorb it when you go there. So like, I think it's a really interesting, because we love music and all different types of music. And there's so many different genres that were born here in the U.S. Yeah. And we're going to talk about where they came from and where you can go hear it.
The first one that always immediately jumps out, you know, to the forefront of my brain anyway, is New Orleans. It was number one. It was one of our first trips together ever. Back when we were just wee
young
babes.
Tykes.
But New Orleans, if you want a clear understanding or foundation of music in the United States and venues and just how things have progressed over the years, I think New Orleans is the perfect start.
Right. Yeah.
At least for a lot of people, because look, it is the single most musical city in America per capita. And that's not just me being all, you know, fuzzy with the words here. It has more working musicians per resident than anywhere else in this country. So like, music like jazz didn't just happen here. Like you were saying, it was born here. And so like, when you go to New Orleans, if you've never been, the first time going, and not to just the French Quarter, although it is concentrated there because it is a very touristy part of that city, but almost everywhere else in the city as well, there is music. There are music venues. There are people just standing on street corners playing.
Yeah.
And it is really, if you've come from a city that doesn't have anything like that, it can be almost a little bit of a cultural shock.
I know, because that was our experience when we went for the first time. Where we came from, there are not street musicians. I mean, if you want to hear music, you specifically go to a music venue, and we didn't grow up in an area that had a lot. So arriving in New Orleans and walking around, and there are people playing saxophone on this corner and a drummer on this corner and a guy with a guitar over there. It's just almost every door we walked by, they had a house band or somebody inside. It was a little bit overwhelming, but I loved it. I thought it was fascinating to be in a place that just embraced music so much.
So, looking at jazz, for instance, jazz as we know it, probably turn of the 20th century, around the 1890s, between there and like the 1910s is when jazz as we recognize it today kind of started coming to the forefront. And that's when they really started terming or using the term jazz, right? Mm-hmm. And it'd be sacrilegious not to mention just all the mixes of different backgrounds, like the African drumming traditions, Creole culture, even Catholic and Protestant church music, brass bands, a little bit of the blues, and all of these things coming together to create this, I want to say, the one true perfect American music genre. And that's just me saying that. I'd leave your comment somewhere else. But it really is, because it is that defining, I think, when people think of that area and everything, it is that defining music genre and that discernible music. When you hear a trumpet on a street corner on Bourbon Street or in the French Quarter or anywhere else in the city, you just know instantly. You're like, I know what's happening.
I mean, you said trumpet, immediately my mind went to Louis Armstrong, and there's just certain songs that he played on the trumpet that are iconic and fit this genre to a T. Like, you hear it and instantly you're transported to this place.
Yeah, one of their most famous musical residents there, Louis Armstrong. But of course, you have all kinds of genres too coming out of. I mean, we're just talking about the musicians that come out of this area, but like Fats Domino, and even for the kids today, like Harry Connick Jr.
The kids today, for our generation, you mean?
Harry Connick Jr., Lil Wayne. There you go. That's a little bit more. But I mean, it is one of these places. So like, what do you do once you get there? We've talked about Bourbon Street. We've mentioned it already a couple of times, but I would actually suggest the locals Bourbon Street, which is what they call, was the affectionate name for Frenchman Street. Mm-hmm. Frenchman Street in New Orleans is actually where the locals go. Okay. They don't head down to Bourbon Street because it's full of tourists, right? Yeah. They go to Frenchman Street. So this is where you're going to have people that are musicians that have been doing it, I mean, for decades and decades, next to kids that are coming up that are, musical prodigies almost, or just the kid on the corner just doing his thing. I mean, you're going to find that at Frenchman.
Yeah, I think, as you said, like, this is where the locals hang out. As residents of a city that has a lot of tourists, we have places we go to. So a little inside tip, like, if you want to do it like a New Orleans local, you don't go to Bourbon Street. No. You go to Frenchman Street instead.
Frenchman Street. And then places like Preservation Hall. Preservation Hall has been open since, I think, 1961. But it is specifically there for New Orleans style jazz. And it's a one-room venue in the French Quarter. So, yes, you can still go to the French Quarter and do all the fun down there and everything. But it's no frills. It is there for one purpose, and that is to melt your face with some of the best jazz that you've ever heard in your entire life. And if you've never heard jazz before, then it's to open your brain up and then melt it again.
Like real true jazz.
Real true jazz. If you want more of the festival type thing, the stuff that we stumble into all the time, I can't think of a better, weekend in late April, early May, usually, than the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival.
Oh, right. Yeah, we've been to this.
Yes.
That was absolutely fun. We had no idea. We were just wandering the streets and we just kept hearing all this different music. But yeah, I think there were multiple stages happening with different bands and singers. It was a really good time, and the food was incredible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we're talking food, I think you started New Orleans as well.
Yeah.
Food and music.
Right.
Okay, we're off to a great start. I'm already getting hungry. So the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival, Preservation Hall, all of those, right? We're going to keep everything rolling right here on the Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-lead singer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studio, talking about those essential music cities here in the United States. If you're on a musical pilgrimage, searching the world for musical influences, or just want to trace the history of music, these are our picks for your essential stops. And we were just talking about New Orleans. Then let's shift our focus a little northeast to New York.
Right.
New York, without a doubt, the most musically diverse city, maybe on earth, definitely here in the United States. Hip hop was born here. Punk was born here. Disco was born and died in New York.
Stop.
The Tin Pan Alley songwriting industry that really shaped American pop music for 50 years was centered there. While no single genre of music really defines New York itself, most of them have roots in the city.
I mean, I think diverse is just the most perfect way to describe New York in every area, people, food, and music, because there are so many different people in the area, and you get this just incredible mix of cultures in all aspects. And no wonder this is the place where multiple types of music were created, because you get all these different people in a space, all these creative people, these artists, and you never know what's going to come out.
I think the wild thing about New York is that not only what it's given us already, we kind of touched on all these genres, but also what is still like being created. Now, you mentioned the diversity. You talk about peoples from all over the world, most ending up in New York when they end up coming to our country. So you're starting to see these electric blends of like Haitian with Dominican and Cuban and, even country and the hip hop genres that are already, and they're all kind of blending together, and they're still just putting out things. Now, not everything catches immediately.
Right.
Some things we won't know about for decades, but it's still happening in this city because of, like you said, the diversity and just the talent of people coming together. It's really amazing. Yeah.
But I love that so many different types of music were actually born here. Like, you can trace back to the first instance of this music. I mean, you were mentioning hip hop's birth. I didn't know this story. Yeah. But you were talking about
precise date, August 11th, 1973. And if you're a hip hop aficionado, you know this date because it is literally the birth of hip hop. This is when it happened. They know why, because it was in the recreation room at this apartment building that still stands to this day at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue in the Bronx. DJ Kool was throwing his sister's back to school party when he invented what we all know, because we're people of a certain age, the break beat, which is playing two copies of the same record on two turntables. You extend the drum beat section so dancers can keep on dancing, right? That night is now universally recognized as hip hop's birthday. So now, even right now, they're outside of this building. There are all kinds of murals that say Hip Hop Boulevard, the birthplace of hip hop, all kinds of things. You can roll up right now, take a picture with it. And while it's not a museum, it's still an actual apartment building and a recreational building. You can still go see it to this day.
No, that's so cool. I mean, and just so many artists are from this area too. Not only hip hop artists, but just multiple genres. I mean, when we were talking about music in New York, I immediately thought of the Beastie Boys documentary I watched, and it talks about them, getting, being from New York and getting their start there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in so many, there's way too many to mention everywhere. I mean, but like Jay-Z, Biggie, the Wu-Tang Clan, ain't nothing to mess with. The Ramones, even, all the way the opposite end of the spectrum, like Simon and Garfunkel. Billy Joel, like you mentioned, the Beastie Boys, Velvet Underground, so many. Right. So once you're there, what do you do? Yeah. I mean, there's so many directions you can go to. There's tons of modern music venues that you can go to. Huge concerts by the biggest artists on earth. Go to like the Barclays Center and different places like that. But like old school stuff, if you go to Harlem, the Apollo Theater, Theater's been, I mean, it's iconic. It's been open since what, the 1930s? But now, not just music, and I think a lot of people know it from comedy.
Yeah.
A lot of great comics have come through there, but also they host dance and all kinds of different genres of art come through the Apollo Theater.
So many famous people have come through there, though. I mean, you were mentioning it's been around since the 30s, but you have all the way back to Ella Fitzgerald, James Brown, Billie Holiday. But then you also get into like Michael Jackson. So it's like all these very famous, iconic names have performed there. So I mean, I would love to go to the Apollo next time we're in New York.
Yeah. And definitely, I mean, I mentioned the birthplace of hip hop. Go there, grab you some pictures, look around, be respectful, because again, it is a real working building and everything. But like the Blue Note Jazz Club, and even just Radio City Music Hall, where the Rockettes are, but so many musicians and so many acts over the years have come through there. And it's a place that you and I have toured.
We have.
It has some great history.
It was a really cool tour, and we got to meet some Rockettes. But yeah, it was so neat to actually see too. We learned a little bit of how the design of the space was intentional so that they could make it look a certain way, and now they like do projection mapping in there and incorporate that into the concerts and shows. It's just a really cool venue. So and knowing that it was at one time in danger of being turned into something else or even torn down, like I'm glad it survived.
A couple of times, I think, and it survived that because of people that understand and know their neighborhoods, and they understand the cultural, the richness and everything, that if you start tearing down some of these places without thought, not progress is progress, but like sometimes without thought, people want to tear it down and build a Starbucks. And it's like, that's not art, man. It's not preserving anything good. You know, and I do like coffee, but like not as much as I like my music venues, and especially the oldies. I mean, and that doesn't even go into the history of like the Garden or Carnegie Hall or these. Again, New York is one of these cities, though, that it has these historic places where people of all walks and all music genres have gotten their starts, and even some are marked just street corners.
Yeah, really. Street
corners where people went and just perfected their craft before anyone knew their name. I saw something the other day, and it was really, he's like one of the best violinists in the world, and he was down in the subway.
Yeah.
And he was just playing for people, and nobody knew who he was, and a couple of people even dropped a couple of dimes or something like that in his violin box or whatever. But it was kind of crazy to see that a lot of musicians still do that.
Yeah, it's so neat. I mean, I think New York is one of those places that there also is music around every single corner. So like, you can just be walking and come across a extremely talented musician. Or I was there in the summer, and Wyclef Jean was putting on a concert on the roof of the building I was in. It was just like a random one-off concert.
Random stuff, right? Oh, man. There's no city like New York anywhere else. I love it. Keep it right here. Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Check us out online, unscaled.travelshow.com, for all of our past episodes and interviews. You can also catch us on every major podcasting platform out there. Apple, Spotify, Ray-Rays. So we're talking about the essential music cities here in the United States. If you're looking to do a musical pilgrimage, or if you're just like, hey, man, what's going on with the music these days? What are the kids listening to? That I can't help you with. But, you know, I think we would be remiss not to talk about country music. I think people have a strong love-hate relationship with country music.
You think?
I think people do. I think it is one of the, I mean, obviously it's one of the most popular genres, not only in the United States, but it's spread across the world. Country music can be found in every corner of the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Different versions of it. And it doesn't need to be English sung to be country music, right? But it does have a heart here in the United States. And I think the city where it is focused on the most these days is Nashville.
Yes. I mean, that's the epicenter of country music, right?
Yeah. I think Nashville over the last decade is having a moment. They are having a moment, man. And people both, they look at it as both a good and bad thing. We won't get into the bad because that's, I think, a totally different show. But for music, Nashville is, if you didn't know this, is called Music City because, well, it earned the title, right? It has been, like you said, country music's global headquarters and epicenter for many, many years now. But there's also, if you didn't know, an amazing stretch called Music Row, which is between 16th and 17th Avenues south of downtown that contains, scores of record studios, publishers, labels. Nearly every major country record of the last 70 years has been made within a few blocks of each other in this one section of town. This is when some pop stars, they're like, well, I packed up and I moved to LA or New York or whatever. Country music stars, if you listen to the music, they're like, I packed everything up and I moved to Nashville.
Yeah. This is one of those places where there are a lot of venues in this area offer open mic nights, or they have nights where you can, obviously play on stage with the local band or the house band. So this is where people go to get discovered in country music.
There was a point in time, briefly, where you flirted with the idea.
I did.
A lot of you folks out there don't know that Amy is quite the accomplished singer.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Oh, that was last weekend.
Long time ago.
But that's kind of the dream that people grow up with. And if you think there's the old cliche of like people in LA, every waiter you meet is trying to be an actor, right? You have some really talented people, insanely talented people that work, that are doing odd jobs and doing part-time jobs in Nashville because they just haven't caught their break yet, or they're just on the cusp, but they are insanely talented people.
Right.
Looking for that moment.
Well, and I think if you go to Nashville and you are really interested in music, not just country music, in music in general, Nashville has so many cool places to visit. I recently did an event in Nashville, actually, and we rented out the Country Music Hall of Fame, which is a museum and it has a theater in it. And so we rented it out for the night for our attendees. We had people there like in the museum to talk to our guest about the different museum exhibits. And then they were able to have dinner on the stage in the theater. It was a really cool experience.
That's neat.
But an added part is you can actually tour some of the original, well, they call them historic studios. So the Country Music Hall of Fame owns the historic RCA Studio B, which is where Elvis Presley, Dolly, and a lot of the other country music artists from that time period recorded their most famous albums.
That's nuts.
It's really neat. Yeah.
Along those lines, I think most people might know it for one of the best, most iconic music venues out there.
The Grand Ole Opry.
The Grand Ole Opry. It just celebrated its 100th anniversary. It launched way back in 1925, and it's been live, believe it or not. The live show has been broadcast live on radio every single Saturday night since it first went live in 1925.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep. So you can go there and you can see everyone from upcoming acts to legends of country music stop by the Grand Ole Opry and do their thing, right? So you mentioned Elvis, but Johnny Cash and June Carter, and just anyone in country music, Loretta Lynn, and just name them.
Right.
They are and have been a part of the Grand Ole Opry.
Right. And part of that, too, is what is called the Mother Church of Country Music. And that's the Ryman Auditorium, which I believe was where the Grand Ole Opry originally started until they built their official Opry building. But, they still have concerts at the Ryman. Like, this is where current legends still go and put on very private concerts because it doesn't hold a whole lot of people. And
Right.
like, this is like, it's special to go
Yeah.
to the Ryman and see a concert.
And I mean, the Ryman has an eclectic mix of artists as well. I mean, you talk Bob Dylan, Ringo Starr, Harry Styles, all the way up to, this is the second time I mentioned them, the Wu-Tang Clan.
Jeremy has a special interest in Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang raised me, baby. So yeah, I mean, that is like a must. If you go to Nashville, you're looking for this musical, lineage and everything. One is the Grand Ole Opry. Plan your trip around that. Two is the Ryman Auditorium. If you can't do a show, at least catch a guided tour where you can learn all kinds of amazing like music history.
Right.
And there are, again, just tons of music venues up and down almost every single street in Nashville. Try to avoid the touristy ones that are the whatever. You don't want to do those, okay? Those are just an upcharge.
But I feel like everybody's heard of the Bluebird Cafe.
But
That
the
is where
Bluebird,
so
yes.
many people have been discovered.
The Bluebird Cafe. That is another stop too. It's a small listening room, but a lot of people have, like you said, been discovered just on those certain nights. So keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-host and co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We're in Sin City, Las Vegas in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios talking about those essential music cities that you need to visit when you are in the United States, or if you're traveling around and you're wondering, hey, why does music sound the way music does here? There you go. Or whatever conversations you have with yourself. We were talking about Nashville, and I know it's impossible to fit every single one of these, every pick that we have for essential music cities in one little episode, because you can make tons of great arguments for places like nearby Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee, which you would find, wonderful things like the Sun Studio, which is a classic and iconic place that recorded all the greats of like Johnny Cash and Elvis Presley. In fact, this is the place where an 18-year-old Elvis Presley walked in with almost $4 and recorded a song just for his mama.
Oh,
that eventually blew up to him becoming who he is.
Didn't know that was a story. I have been in Memphis once.
Okay.
And I was driving down the road, didn't even realize I was driving in front of Graceland until I had to stop and was like, what is this building? Like, what is this? I was like, there's music notes on this gate. And I look over, it's Graceland. I had no idea. I didn't get to go in, but I feel like we need to, because I've seen pictures and it is a spectacle.
Graceland, of course, Elvis's longtime home, is still one of the most visited private residences in America, and it's still considered a private residence and belongs to that family or the trust or whatever. It still belongs to them. But Graceland, of course, is in there. But Bill Street and all of these things have such a deep root system into current music, and it all kind of goes back to there. I mean, Carl Perkins, B.B. King, and Roy Orbison, and all of those guys. You could also say the same thing about places like Detroit,
Right.
Atlanta. Atlanta is the modern home of hip hop. So many stars came out of there, and while early rap and hip hop was East Coast, West Coast, Atlanta came up with a Southern style of hip hop, and this is where you get what the kids would know now, Outkast and Ludacris, and so many of these modern rap stars and everything. And now rap has kind of taken hold of, like, that's its home base, right, in Atlanta. And then to pass over a place like Minneapolis would be a travesty because of Bob Dylan's early informative years coming out of Minnesota, and also Prince. How could you not mention Prince?
Oh, I didn't realize.
Prince was born
Interesting.
there. He went to school there. He was Prince while he was there. And this is where he's laid to rest. That's where his home was. He never left. And he loved the area. And it was very important to him. And so
I didn't know that's where he was from.
you didn't know that?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
but
there you go.
you mentioned Detroit so briefly, but I feel like that one deserves just another minute of conversation.
Yeah. So Detroit. I mean, obviously home to Motown.
Yeah. Anytime somebody mentions music cities, I always think Detroit,
Yes.
Motown, which, I mean, so many, again, huge hits, huge groups from that era were produced by Motown Records in Detroit. I mean, the Supremes, the Temptations, Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson. So, I mean, even more. Jackson 5. Like, there's just so many that's iconic to that. But you just taught me, and I did not know this, that techno music was also
There you go.
created, invented in Detroit. And that just blew my mind because I had no idea.
I mean, you talk about opposite ends.
Right.
You know, Mr. Barry Gordy over here doing Motown Records, and then techno on the other side. But yes, absolutely. It's the home of two extremely important now music genres and groups and backgrounds and everything. And coming out of the same city is wild to me.
Right.
Yeah.
I had no idea. But when we're talking about blues and we've talked about jazz, another city comes to mind also. And I bet people don't, if you've never really visited Chicago, you don't think of Chicago as a music city,
Yeah.
but it really is. In fact, I have a coworker who lives in Chicago, and he was telling me the next time we go there, there's all these different blues clubs we needed to go visit. And I was like, I had no idea that there were so many.
There are so many, and so many of them are iconic, and so many of them are born from different genres. I mean, it stretches all the way back to Al Capone's days, where you can still find some of his favorite places and even booths of his that they've preserved over the years. And, you know, you talk about the more Delta blues. That's what they kind of called it, like Delta blues. And even like house music was kind of born out of the wreckage of disco but it kind of started in Chicago and all revolutionary. And it's all still kind of alive and well today. It all kind of goes back. It's kind of fun if you go on lineage, when you think about music and lineage, and it goes back to certain people in certain areas, but like Muddy Waters, the great Muddy Waters, and how many current rock and roll influences were influenced by this guy doing Delta blues. You know, you talk about the Rolling Stones, who took their name from a Muddy Waters song, the Rolling Stone, right? Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, all of them. Muddy Waters is the foundation for it, and it was all there in Chicago.
But isn't this also like the birth of the electric guitar?
Yeah.
I mean, that's my understanding. Like, there was just acoustic guitars before that, right? And he somehow figured out how to plug his guitar into an amp because he couldn't be heard over the people talking.
It's how the legend goes. It's how the legend goes. But it's more where it kind of caught.
Okay.
More kind of caught fire and everything. And even Dylan started playing around with electric versions of a guitar, and he was against that for so long and so many years and everything. But even places like Buddy Guy's Legends, that's still a place you can go. Of course, Buddy Guy is still around and kicking. He's a legendary Delta blues guy. I think he's 89 years old right now, but he's still up there doing his thing. Usually at the beginning of the year, you can catch Buddy Guy in his own club doing sellout shows after sellout shows in a place that we've talked about many times before, the Green Mill Cocktail Lounge. This is where Capone had a favored booth, and it was still out doing his thing up until a certain point in time. But it's a famous and well-loved jazz and blues headquarters there in Chicago.
And a couple of very famous festivals are in Chicago, too. Lollapalooza, I think everybody's heard of that one. But also the Chicago Blues Festival.
Keep it right here on Scale Travel Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my backup singer. I don't know.
Sure, I'll take it.
My lead guitarist. How about that?
Hello.
All right, Amy, doing her thing. Talking about the essential music cities here in the United States, and I had to catch my breath there. I felt like I was rambling on, but when we're talking essential music cities, it is tough to make a list and then start leaving places off. But like we said, we don't have enough time to get to all of them.
Right.
But you want to do the ones that are owed a, or owed a certain amount of time. You want to do justice by them. But still, I feel like it's worth it to mention some of these other cities and the wonderful things you can find. But, where's the place that most people think about now when they think,
LA.
I'm going to get a record deal.
Yeah. I'm going to go to LA. I'm going to get a record deal.
I'm going to be a star.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, LA has more musicians in every industry and every chapter of it, right? Psychedelic rock, folk, gangster rap, pop, indie, all of them.
All of it. Yeah. Yeah.
And so many music adjacent fields too. I mean, music production and all of these things right there in LA. So if you want a deal, but go to LA. But when we talk about like the 1960s and 70s, the Sunset Strip was the place that kind of defined rock and roll culture and set the tone for the rest of the United States and beyond,
right,
for a good amount of time.
Right. And I think it's still preserved elements of that, certain parts of the city, certain parts of maybe Sunset Strip itself
Sure.
Are still there and still living this kind of moment in time, although the city around it has changed a lot. But I mean, one of the locations on our list, the Troubadour, it's still open. They are still having concerts. In fact, our son just went there a year ago, I guess,
not
to
too long
go
ago.
see one of his favorite bands that was playing there. But this is a place that Elton John did his American debut in this venue. If you've seen the Rocket Man movie, there's a scene that's from this venue in the movie, and it's just so cool that it's still there and it has all this really great history, and you can still go experience it.
Absolutely. And I still troll the Troubadour's website from time to time looking for tickets, and they're almost always sold out, but it's trying to find specific things is really hard. And this same area that is so iconic now, and again, a real place that you can go visit tomorrow if there's tickets, or you just want to drive by and take a picture. Also, as it turned over to like the 1980s, all of a sudden the sound got really different.
Yeah.
And it gave us Guns N' Roses, Metallica, Motley Crue, so many things. And then as time continues, right, a little bit down the street in Compton and in South Central, NWA was recording straight out of Compton, which of course was the catalyst for, gangster rap and changed hip hop forever. And we talk about it a number of times, but it is very influential here in the States and beyond.
Right.
And so, I mean, how many famous artists can you mention that have gotten their start, at least in part, in the LA music scene?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you went into the 80s, but I was still on like the 60s, 70s, that era of music, like the Beach Boys. And you had all these different groups that lived in the area, or even like the Beatles at one point, they rented a house in the hills, and like all these different big groups at the time, like the Mamas and the Papas and the Beach Boys and the Beatles, they were all renting houses on the same road. There's a documentary on it. I can't remember the name, but I watched it a couple of years ago, and it talks about this like 3 or 4 year time period when they were all there and they were all creating music and they were all kind of feeding off each other, and how it totally changed the face of music at the time.
100%.
It's just such a really cool experience, I would say. Like, and to know that few years was so influential in the music scene in LA going forward.
And it was wild, right? I mean, because you and I were watching it together, and it was like literally a time period where, I mean, just, they say you could just walk down the street and see all of these stars, like walk into different areas, and they were hanging out together. It's kind of like the old thing, like we would You hear about like these great poets and writers and like Hemingway and all these guys like all hanging out together at one bar and you know, drinking and talking until early mornings. That's literally what this scene was.
Yeah.
All of these folks knew each other. And like you said, they were feeding off of each other, writing different things with each other, trying different sounds.
Cool. Yeah.
To be a fly, right, on those walls and to walk those streets at those times. I mean, that's crazy. So you can still go and get a piece of that today. They're a little bit more low key. They don't like to be hassled as much, right? They're a little bit more bougie. But there are still those places like the Troubadour, like the Hollywood Bowl. Hollywood Bowl is still doing things left and right. I mean, every day I think it's booked up for some kind of classical or pop or rock or something that's happening at the Hollywood Bowl all the time.
Yeah. And I think probably one of the most recognizable buildings, not only in LA, but maybe in the world, is the Capitol Records building. That looks like the stack of vinyl records. Yeah. We've seen it. We've taken pictures of it. I would love to go inside.
To go do a tour.
So neat to see the outside of it.
I mean, you're talking Sinatra, Nat King Cole. You mentioned the Beach Boys. I mean, all the way up until today, you know, today's stars and everything. So LA, I think, is an essential stop if you're, you know, looking for music cities.
Right.
And one of my favorite cities, I think just north of there, just a couple of minutes north of LA, there's a place called San Francisco.
A little place,
couple minutes north. But I mean, it has, and it owns its claim to music history, and it's very specific, but I think it's enormous. And I think we go to 1967, the summer of love.
Yeah.
And the counterculture movements and the music and the bands and just, you know, I mean, we are from around the Port Arthur, Texas area, but, you know, Janis Joplin is definitely involved in all that. I mean, she was born in Port Arthur where we kind of grew up.
Right.
But, you know, she got her, you know, another step up in her career and another step up into her legend with the counterculture movements that were born out of San Francisco and places like in bands like Jefferson Airplane and, you know, all of these places. I mean, Grateful Dead, they lived by each other.
So they
lived pretty close to each other.
This is what's called psychedelic rock, right? And it has a very specific sound. And I feel like it was a very specific moment in time also. Like you don't hear a ton of psychedelic rock, but there are just certain bands, certain songs that you're like, yes, that defines that era of music.
What? Yeah. George Harrison from the Beatles, you know, walked the street in 1967, got mobbed by people.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's kind of a crazy thing to think about it. I mean, but just even now, it's one of those cities that has a long lineage, but also bands go back to it over and over again. They're born out of it, and then they're just kind of, they adopt. And band, I mean, the city is great at just adopting who they consider like some of their own people. Right. And they just, for decades and decades, even after, I guess, the spotlight leaves for a certain time, the city, they'll still sell out shows back to back to back to back. Yeah. And that's the great part, I think, about like cities like music cities like San Francisco is they never really forget, you know, so you'll have all kinds of artists of different varying genres.
Yeah.
And they'll be playing at just little hole in the wall venues that are just legendary. And you're just like, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
True.
This
Very
is awesome.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, I mean, San Francisco is also one of those cities. They have some huge music venues, and there's so many also like stadiums and arenas that they always have giant concerts coming through there. And a lot of the like large event conferences, most of the times they will end it with bringing in a huge headliner, and they'll buy out one of these big venues. So you never know who's going to be playing in San Francisco, but there's always somebody playing.
Yeah. And if you want iconic venues to go check out, like the Fillmore, check out the Fillmore. If you can get in there. I like to say, if you can get in, you can get in, right? But San Francisco is that place, man. I absolutely love it. Keep it right here on Scaled Travel Show. We'll be right back. everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. Jeremy Long here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
Check us out online, unscaledtravelshow.com. We were talking about the essential United States music cities out there. We hope we've given you a good list. And then things to do once you're there. Some of the iconic venues and locations you can go check out once you're there. One of the places we visited a few years ago that still to this day cranks out, just all kinds of musicians and has a very unique sound on its own that defined a genre. I know you dressed like them for a while, but Seattle.
Right. Yes.
Seattle, of course, I think most famous for its like grunge rock and roll phase that I laugh, and I kind of tease you about and everything because everyone dressed in like Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
Basically. Everyone dressed like
we
him.
all wore the big pants and the oversized flannel.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the city where Jimi Hendrix was born, but
yeah.
Grunge was also born in Seattle, and it was a sound that was so specific at this period of time. You have Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, all emerged from this great little city. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was because of the weather that is also very melancholy, but it defined almost an entire generation of music.
Well, and a whole nother subgenre. It's not so alt rock or indie rock is also there's kind of a little debate. Was it created in Seattle or was it created somewhere else? But a lot of people from the 80s who started in this genre or in the Seattle area, and they all kind of grew up in this culture of creating music and taking rock and making it their own. So I think Seattle is very significantly impactful on today's music and what's happened to it. Like in the 80s, how it shifted a lot of music in different directions. Yeah.
And it remains important to today's music as well. So many roots have been planted, there and grown around there. You even have, stars like, I want to say Macklemore and, the kids might know Sir Mix-a-Lot. But it also has a deep root with hip hop too, like people and acts that were born out of Seattle and that kind of area. And I would be remiss if I didn't say like one of the best places we've been to in Seattle that focuses really on the music and the culture of the music and everything is the Mopop.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There. And it's Museum of Pop Culture, but it has huge swaths of it dedicated to music that has been born out of Seattle, its importance and the memorabilia and just like the history.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite museums we've ever been to because it was almost everything in there was relatable to us because it is pop culture. So there's a section on like TV and movies. There's a section on music. There was a section on, I want to say like fashion too, just all these different aspects in there. But when we went, they had a whole exhibit dedicated to Jimi Hendrix. Mm-hmm. And then another one dedicated to, I can't remember, a rapper who was from that area too. And then there was another section on Nirvana. So like these entire exhibits dedicated to these people. And we learned so much about them. It was really neat to see.
What are their big festivals that always, for as long as it's been going on since like the 1970s, it still kind of flies under the radar, which I think people from Seattle really appreciate and from the surrounding areas really appreciate because it hasn't been overly corporatalized. I don't know. That's not a word, but the Bumbershoot Festival, which
Say that again?
No, but it's around Labor Day, and it is one of those festivals that combines so much. And if you want like a snapshot of what Seattle is and the surrounding areas are, there you go. That's a great weekend to go, check out. It's kind of like a Lollapalooza or the, festivals in Chicago or something like that. Another area, really. It's always really fun, very colorful. Miami.
Love Miami.
Miami's music identity, I think, is unlike anything else in the United States. It's the place kind of where Latin America, the Caribbean, and American pop culture collided, and they haven't stopped colliding since. You know, Afro-Cuban rhythms, and just how many iconic acts now, but it was really people like Gloria Estefan that really blew up the Miami music scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that is the first person that comes to mind. Well, if you're of a certain generation, that's the first person who comes to mind. Yep. Probably younger people are thinking more Pitbull.
Mr. Worldwide.
Right. But that is, I would say, that is sort of the iconic Miami music scene from our youth was Gloria Estefan. And, you know, you go there and there's just this incredible music playing from every direction, and it makes you want to move. It makes you want to dance.
That is absolutely
no
true.
other music does it like this music does. I love it.
And it's so great, man. If you go to neighborhoods like Little Havana in Miami, or you know, I mean, the more touristy parts would probably be South Beach and everything. But you can go to some of these neighborhoods and it's like New York. It's like New Orleans, where, like you said, you just start hearing music and you just start moving to the beat, man. You know, like even if you don't have any rhythm, you're tapping your toes.
You can't help it.
That's
right?
a knee slapper, whatever they call it back then. But dude, you're doing it, you know? And Miami just has that rhythm and that vibe, I guess that energy.
Yes, energy. That's a good word
that
for
is
it.
so unlike anything else out there. I think New York is probably the only other city that really kind of captures that Miami magic. And there's so many, I mean, there's festivals all the time in Miami with great reason, right? But the best ones are probably like the Ultra Music Festival, or maybe even the Calle Ocho.
Yeah.
I'm probably saying that wrong. But the Calle Ocho, which has, you know, been going on for years and years. But I mean, so many great acts from yesterday and today, but also the ones that are coming up are born from these places. It's like going to South by, what South by used to be.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we're talking about live music, we have to mention Austin, Texas.
Yeah. Austin is the probably live music capital of the world. I think they've trademarked that, but it's really true. They made that title, they grabbed that title in 1991 and they haven't let it go. And it started as a marketing slogan, but it really still rings true to this day because of what South by used to be. Now, yes, I'm one of those old heads. It's like South by Southwest isn't the same festival it was.
Well, it's not.
It's supposed to change. It's got a little bit more corporate and a lot more money involved into it, whatever. But there's still great things like Austin City Limits and everything, where this is where you can find the acts of tomorrow that are just coming up, that are just finding their sound and like gathering their fan base together and everything else. These kind of festivals, and then just the live music places all across the city. Every barbecue joint, which there's so many in Austin that are great.
But I mean,
there's all kinds of places.
You said it's the live music capital of the world, which started as a market slogan, but they actually have made it true. Has more live music venues per capita than any other city in the United States.
Wow.
And it's because every restaurant, every bar, every hotel has a singer, has a stage and a mic somewhere where somebody is performing every single night.
Yeah.
Like you literally can hear a different person every night of the year if you wanted to live.
It's such a fantastic place too. I mean, it's a great city with, it's a younger city with the University of Texas being there. So you feel the energy. So if you go down the 6th Street and you like that thing, okay, well, you don't really feel the energy there. Maybe it's a little bit too young for people of a certain age. You can still go to all kinds of places like Stubbs, Waller Creek Amphitheater. Stubbs, of course, is barbecue. That's what Stubbs is now. I mean, we still buy Stubbs barbecue sauce to this day.
Yeah.
So it was originally, you know, it was a Lubbock, Texas gig, you know, and that's where the barbecue was. Then they had music venue and all that stuff. But then they relocated to Austin a few years after that. And it's just blown up. The amphitheater's still there. The barbecue joint is still there. So it's still amazing barbecue. You can still hear
me hungry.
Live music. I mean, it's just one of those cities also that on certain nights, it's not, I don't think to the level of a Miami or New York, but on certain nights, you can literally walk down streets
Right.
and hear different music coming out of different venues just every couple of feet. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking about cities with tons of music venues, we have to mention our hometown, Las Vegas. I mean, every musical act ever just about stops
2,500 concerts a year.
Crazy.
And growing. So get out there, hear some music, move to the beat. We'll see you guys next time.